With us now, Meta's Vice President for Southeast Asia and Emerging Markets, Benjamin Joe. Hi, Ben. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hello, Yashal. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Ben, Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Oculus. What is going on with Meta right now? And what is the metaverse, and how does Meta contribute to the development of this metaverse?
Yes, it's very exciting times. Let's start with the metaverse. So metaverse is a collection of virtual spaces that are 3D immersive experiences that people can move along different spaces where you can have a feeling for being close to people that you don't have proximity to in the physical world. So let me give you an example. My 14-year-old daughter asked me this question, "What is the metaverse, Daddy?" last week. And how I explained it to her is currently in today's world, how we interact with technology is through screens, right? When you look at a laptop screen, you look at a smartphone, and most of it is 2D. But imagine a world when you can actually be in the experience. You can be part of the experience. You can feel the experience. And that's going to be, I think, what the metaverse is. And Yasha, I know that you're also a co-founder of a Indo Runners Club, right? And I've seen your Instagram posts and the Facebook posts groups. Imagine a world where you can actually run with your colleagues, run with your friends in the metaverse. And by the way, this is actually quite possible now.
Wow, you know what? Now that you mentioned it, it never occurred to me before that could happen, because now there's virtual races, right? Virtual running races that can actually be run in the metaverse as an avatar. Is that how such interaction would happen?
Well, I think there's the avatar, but we also have currently games or products that focus on fitness, where you can actually box virtually with your friends or colleagues. You can actually do workouts together. You can do climbing together. So a lot of this will be possible in the metaverse. I'm really excited about the unlocked potential that this will have.
It sounds like a lot of potential, and I love the idea of boxing, because that also means you can virtually get punched in the face as well, right, Ben?
Yes, and it won't hurt as much as real life.
That's terrific. And when we're talking about metaverse, I mentioned also Oculus. So what is the future of VR and AR glasses going forward with this?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think we've made a lot of progress. So Oculus is a company that we bought in 2014. They developed VR glasses, and we launched a most recent product is Quest 2 last year, which is a VR headset where we can experience immersive experiences, whether that's gaming, that's fitness, that's also work. There's also an element of working together for collaboration. So that's where we are on the VR stuff. We also launched a product called Ray-Ban Stories that gives you a glimpse of what a AR glasses would look like, but we're still very early in the journey. I was chatting with a friend, and he was talking about how he doesn't feel comfortable having a headset around on his head. And look, I think the form factor has seen a lot of advancements, and I think they will continue to develop in a way that's light, that's comfortable, that's accessible for most people. And I'm really excited about the journey that but we're still quite early on this.
Okay, when we talk about the metaverse, people say that it will consist of just different worlds and different environments and different ecosystems, and everything's going to be in this new universe called the metaverse. And it seems like the gaming industry have their ecosystem ready. But what about work? What does the future of work look like in the metaverse? And is this pandemic give an opportunity for people to kind of want to try it out even more than before, perhaps because they're used to this, this type of virtual connection?
Yeah, and tell me about it. I've been mostly working from home for the last 18 months, like a lot of my colleagues and people around the world. So I think definitely we've now seen the need of remote working, flexible working, working from home, working from anywhere, with a sense of higher presence. But if I was to go back, what's really important to note here is that Meta will not be building the metaverse alone. We're actually building for the metaverse. So maybe a good analogy, Asha, would be how the internet was built. I mean, internet was not built by a single company. It was built by many companies. It was built by organizations, regulators, developers, creators, and that's how the metaverse will get built. And going back to your question around future of work, we actually launched a product called Horizon Workrooms. So this is a software that is in the Quest 2 ecosystem, where you go in and you can actually run meetings with your colleagues. So I actually have some meetings with my colleagues on this as well. It's in the form of an avatar. You can have a really higher sense of presence. So right now, as you know, like, screens are okay, and they're, we that's what we have mostly. But in this experience, you can have a sense of spatial audio. So for example, if you're sitting to the right of me in that room, I hear that voice from right. I can actually even see your hand gestures and your body movements, which gives you a higher sense of presence. You can also whiteboard together. You can ideate, you can collaborate. So there's that high sense of presence that gives a higher sense of collaboration that I think is going to be exciting opportunity for a lot of us.
Well, as we talk about work, of course, when we talk about work, we talk about earnings, we talk about compensation, we talk about money, right? So a while back, you made an announcement about Libra. What will happen to Libra and cryptocurrency now that you are Meta?
So we actually renamed the Libra to DM in 2020. And just to clarify, we're actually not building DM. We're actually part of one of 26 companies that is part of the DM Association. So what the DM Association does is we try to empower and build tools and systems that gives affordable financial inclusion to many people that do not have bank accounts. So that mission really hasn't changed. And we are part of this association through a product called the Novi by Meta. And what Novi is, it is a digital wallet. And initially we're going to start by supporting USDP, which is a stable coin. And there's more than 1.7 billion people, 1.7 billion adults who do not have bank accounts. And I know even in Indonesia, there's a lot of folks who do not have access to bank accounts or financial products. So I think this will help us to build a bridge for affordable, cheap, fast, reliable financial inclusion program, which I think is going to play a big role in the metaverse, but also now where a lot of folks are just not included.
Okay, when we're talking about the metaverse and the choice of name for the company, for the Facebook company becoming Meta, and this is the metaverse, which is this brilliant. Does that mean that Meta will be part of a sort of a governing body of this metaverse? Would you agree to that? And in terms of setting the rules, setting the conducts, the ethical conducts, and what we call, I guess, how people will interact with each other, because this is a new world, and it shouldn't be free for all, right? There should be some rules and regulations, and that people will, especially when you're doing any type of activities, interactions, transactions, there's going to be, people with ill intentions. How will Meta approach that?
Yeah, and just to clarify, again, Meta is not building the metaverse. Meta is building for the metaverse, and we're going to try to play a big role in building for it. So we're not going to be a governing party or a company. This is going to take an effort of everybody, like you, Yasha, like who build communities, like the Indo Runners community. You're going to play a big role in building this together with us. But it's not just community leaders like yourself. It's going to be regulators. It's going to be policymakers, academia, civic rights, human rights activists, and we're all going to be building this together. And that's a really important thing. I think one of the reasons why it's an exciting chapter for the company, because I've been here at Meta for about 11 years. This kind of signals where we're going for and the future that we're building for from a product and what we stand for. But one thing that hasn't changed is actually the mission of the company. We're all very passionate about connecting people and giving people the power to build meaningful communities like yourself. I know that you've co-founded that runners community, and we want to continue to enable that. We want to enable that in the metaverse too. So we're going to continue to evolve our products to get there. Now, going back to your question around security and responsibility, and we want to do this in a very responsible way. So we also launched a $50 million USD fund to work with academia and activists and organizations to get their feedback early, because this is really important. Look, I have a 14-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son, and I would want to make sure that we build responsibly for what the metaverse will look like. And this will, again, not be done by a single company. It will take everybody. And especially it will take, work from governments and regulators. And we're putting this out there early because we can gain that feedback. We can build this in a very responsible way as we move forward.
All right, Ben, reportedly you're removing the face recognition from your platforms. What do you hope to achieve with such a move?
Yeah, so the facial recognition, just for the audience who are not familiar with it, what it is for those of you who opted in, so if you're opted out, it doesn't really pertain to you. But if you opted in, if someone posts a photo of you that looks like you, then the system would detect it and they would say, hey, is this your photo? Would you like to be tagged? And we've removed this feature because we want to be very thoughtful around the technology. I know that we know that there's amid concerns among regulators and policymakers around some of the privacy features. And because there's concerns, we decided to remove it as a feature. So people who even opted in would be opted out automatically. Now, I do think there's going to be really useful ways of using this facial technology, but we're going to have to be doing this in a very thoughtful way. And that's why we removed it, so we can do it responsibly and work with regulators and governments around the world to make good use of it.
All right, speaking of regulators, speaking about governments, again, we touched on that a little bit earlier. I know the Facebook company had been working closely with regulators each country, like here in Indonesia, in creating the blueprint. Are there efforts in creating a blueprint with each country to regulate this future metaverse?
Yes, the short answer is yes. We work with governments very closely around the world, and Indonesia specifically, something that I'm extremely proud of is we work closely with the Ministry of Health to ensure that reliable COVID information can be shared with the Indonesians who use our WhatsApp product. So that's something that I think is a kind of a hallmark of what we will continue to do. But going back to your question around metaverse, this is very early, and this gives us an opportunity to discuss, to gain feedback. Again, not just from our regulators, but also from academia, from human rights, civic rights, and make sure that we do this in a responsible way. There's a lot of uncertainties. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you what it will look like, but what I can tell you is that we're going to do this all together, and it's going to be working very closely with governments and regulators across the board. And I'm really excited about building this together with the world.
Great. Ben, you mentioned it several times. I wasn't going to mention it earlier, but yes, In the Runners actually, it grew through the Facebook platform, also on Instagram. So we look forward to also grow in this metaverse with new ways, and looking forward to it, this new opportunities.
Yes, and I look forward to, Yasha, you being able to do running virtually in the metaverse with all your friends and your colleagues in the metaverse.
Yeah, and of course, See Today broadcasting in the metaverse. How's that?
I would love that. Imagine if it felt like I was sitting right next to you versus you looking at a screen. That's
right. Amazing. Looking forward to it. Benjamin Joe from the Meta for Southeast Asia and emerging markets. Thank you for being with us. Stay safe.
Thank you, Yasha. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here.